questions, which is what the session today will be focused on. Before that, we'll just uncover some of the questions that I've always received from people who have connected with me on LinkedIn, who have reached out to me for mentorship, etc. So I'll ask those questions first to my audience, and then I'll answer those questions myself also. Uh, do you people know what is the difference between like a BI, which is a business intelligence field, an analytics job, and a data science job? Please post your answers on the chat. Once I've received like 10 to 12 answers, then I'll deliver the answer myself. People, instead of writing yes, please write the answer, actual answer. Cool. I am receiving good answers. So I'll explain and uncover this difference between the different fields that we see, especially for people who wrote they have 1 to 2 years of experience. They can shift within these 3 jobs if they have the right skill set, which means if they have practiced some projects and everything on the internet also, and they can switch. So BI is business intelligence. Data analytics is again one type of job, and then there is data science, machine learning, etc. If you were to divide analytics overall into like 2 or 3 parts, there'll be majorly like descriptive analytics and prescriptive analytics. Descriptive meaning what has happened already, you see the patterns in that data, you tell your senior stakeholders this is what is happening in a summarized manner. Prescriptive analytics is based on the data that you see, this is what you prescribe. Now, if you were to take an example of a departmental store, let's say imagine a multi-chain departmental store such as a D-Mart, every day lakhs of rupees are sold and lakhs of items are sold in a particular store. If you divide that across the chain, there is so much data to be analyzed. Now, that data, whenever a person gets billed, the data gets stored of what the person has purchased, what date has he purchased, what time has he purchased on, whether discounts were given to that, and what was the total price he paid. We also take, departmental stores also take certain customers' number so that they can identify each customer. All this data can be made to use then by analyzing, by keeping this data into tables, which is where our data warehousing jobs come into place. Managing all that data, like from the billing counter to the storage in the tables, some data warehousing teams maintain that data. After the data is sufficiently put into different tables, after that, then analytics and business intelligence comes in place, wherein the people who are analysts, they analyze that particular data or what patterns is it giving. So for example, if I want to see how much total sales I made, what was the top selling product for today? All these questions for business are part of descriptive data analytics, and analytics people, data analytics folks, analyze that data through SQL and like now latest technologies such as NoSQL and etc. And these people are called data analysts who discover patterns in the data and try to answer business questions. Then come BI folks, who are business intelligence people. What they do is essentially they basically make reports out of that data, which can then be automated and delivered to the stakeholders on a cadence, such as a daily cadence or a weekly cadence or a yearly cadence, whatever is the required cadence for that. So BI folks basically are experts in visualization tools. There are multiple visualization tools in the market. You can see them most efficiently on which a thing which is called as a Gartner quadrant, wherein every year there is a company known as Gartner. They make a quadrant of which are the most popular tools in the market. Tableau is usually one of the top ones. I have in my career used various other reporting tools such as Power BI, such as uh, Power BI, TIBCO Spotfire, or like an Oracle BI tool, etc. So those are BI folks. Then comes prescriptive learning. Now, when the data gets so huge, and you want to prescribe to your boss that this is how we should be making changes in the future to be increasing our sales, to be increasing our business, that is where data science people come in, who make recommendation algorithms, who work on various models to prescribe that this is what we should be doing in the future to get enhanced business. I hope this was clear. If there is still any doubt, please post on the chat. Great. I heard 2-3 people who are saying it's clear. Now we move towards SQL, which is the bread and butter for SQL. In SQL, basically, I assume that you are all beginners because we had posted that as a prerequisite. So I'll not go into the definitions. We'll try to practice some questions of a tool which is Lead Code. I hope you have all heard of it. We'll be practicing them live. I'll share my screen. For each question, I'll wait 1-2 minutes so that you can form your thought around it, and then we'll solve the question live. So this is how we'll be doing. I'll share my screen, guys. Whatever concept is needed for that question, I'll explain that first and then give you 2 minutes to solve. So I have shortlisted some questions of Lead Code so as to practice with the class. Basically, this is a question which is called customers who never order. It has 2 tables. One is the customers table. Second is the orders table. Customers table has 2 columns, customer ID and customer name, which is of integer and varchar type respectively. And then orders, which is ID. You can call this as an order ID, and the customer ID table, which will be the ID of this basically. Now, you have to write a SQL which reports all customers who never order anything. And you can result the table, basically return the result in any order. I'll give with an example. There is a customers table. There is an orders table. Within the customer table, there are 4 customers, and within the orders table, there are only 2 order IDs, respectively by customer ID 3, which is Sam, and second order is by customer ID 1, which is Joe. Now, clearly, we can see that Henry and Max, these customers, did not place any orders. So in the output, the column name should be called as customers, and the customers who don't order are Henry and Max. Now here, clearly, there are 2 tables, both of which are needed. So we'll be using a concept known as join. Join basically is a concept that you can join 2 tables on any key that is relevant to the business and return certain output. There are 4-5 types of joins: inner join, left join, right join, self join, and cross join. I'm receiving certain chat also. Yes. So here we'll be using a left join because we need all customers, but only who have not placed any orders. So left join always gives you all the results of the left table, but only the matching results of the right table. The opposite of the left join will be a right join, wherein you get all the results from the right table, but only matching rows from the left table. Inner join will always give you only the common rows between the tables. Cross join or a full join will give you all the tables of all the rows of all the tables. Then there is a self join wherein a table is joined with itself. Like let's say there is a column which is called employee ID, will be doing a self join, and then there is a column which is a manager ID. So there we have like very good examples where self join is tested. As from an interview lens, self join is a very important concept, which you'll see like if you have taken interviews, there like in every 5 or 6 interviews, there'll always be one question at least of self join. So we'll be doing that today. In this question particularly, a left join will be used. I'll give you 2 minutes to answer. Please send your answers only to me so that the others can use their own mind and they are not influenced. And then we'll solve it together. It's 7:18. On 7:20, we'll start writing the code. Mayank, you asked the link for the lead code, but lead code is a subscription-based tool. So like this might not be a free question. Hence, I'll have this question open for you on my screen and please attempt that. If you need me to scroll up and down, I can. And guys, this is a live question that was asked from me in my meta interview also. People who have any questions, please type it here only. Saurav, Kaushik, please send to only hosts and panelists. Don't send your answer to everyone. Few more seconds to go. Rahul, I got your question. I'll acknowledge it once I'm solving it. We'll explore both ways. Cool. Let's begin to answer this question. First, we'll explore it in one way, and then we'll answer it in the corresponding ways. So first, we will use a left join as I explained, because I want to explain you how the left join works. So we do select, and then we write from customers. I always use aliases because that makes it easier to address the columns of that table. On C dot ID is equal to O dot customer ID. Here, all the rows of customer table will be there, but only matching rows of order will be there. And then if we do where O dot customer ID is null, and here we select C dot ID. We wanted names, okay? So we'll do C dot name and we wanted the output name as customers left join orders on C dot ID is equal to O dot customer ID, where O dot customer ID is null. I'll run the answer. Okay, it's called customers. You have an error. Just see what is the issue. Orders. Okay. Yes. So we can see that the solution is accepted. Now, what we did was, like, basically this was the entire logic, wherein we did O dot customer ID is null. Wherever now there is not a matching order, corresponding order ID, it will show only names of those customers. There was another way we could have done this question, which was through a subquery where we write where c.id not in, and then we write select distinct customer ID from orders. This would be giving a same result, which is that the customers whose ID is not in the orders table. So this will also give us the same result. And as you can see, it shows accepted. I'll quickly check chat where there are not any other questions. There are some other questions. We can address them now. Ajay say asks the difference between primary key and foreign key. It's an important concept. Your second question, Ajay, normalization. It's a very theoretical concept. It doesn't get asked unless you are a fresher. Because during your college, your BTech, your BCMCA, you learn that. So for 1NF, 2NF, that's when they are asked. But I've never asked them or been asked normalization questions. Definitely good to practice and keep at the back of your hand. So we'll address the difference between primary key and foreign key. Primary key is basically it says like this, primary key is the ID is the primary key of the table. There are two conditions of a primary key. One is it will always be unique. Second is it will always be a non-null ID, which means that if a column is a primary key for a table, it can never have null value and it will always be unique. Now, primary key can be one column or it can be a combination of 2 to 3 columns or many columns, and that can result to make a primary key. It is a key identifier for any table. Let's say if I say customer, so customer ID will always be unique for a table. There will never be, like, let's say customer ID is equal to 1, will never belong to 2 names. It will always belong to 1 name. It's such as a roll number. When you were in school or in college, you had a roll number. So it was always unique to you for one class. That is how this works. Foreign key is a primary key for another table. So let's say here, it says customer ID is the foreign key because customer ID corresponds to the ID. So it means that it will also be unique, but it will be the primary key of some other table. That's what a foreign key is. Important concepts, and you get asked this question in interviews. Then the next question is c.id, etc. being written by the presenter? Yes, I have written it. Are joins fast than subquery? Depends on generally the computation, like how complicated the computation is. In this case, because they were simple tables, both of them will have the same power. Cool. We'll go to the next question now. This was an easy question, but we wanted to cover it just to get the class warmed up. We'll go to the next question. It is called, it's a medium question. It was asked in Google, Amazon, Oracle, and it obviously was asked in different other companies also. It's called the second highest salary. There is only one table, which is called as ID, and it has salary of the basically employee. We want the second highest salary from the employee table. If there is no second highest salary, then the query should report null. As an example, there are 3 employees with different salaries. Obviously, the second highest salary, as we can see, is 200. So we want 200. Example 2, there is only one employee. So second highest salary is null. So I'll again give you 1-2 minutes to answer this question, and then we'll solve it together. Please send your answers only towards to the hosts and panelists. I'll just give a minute because this also is an easy question. So here, if we wanted the first, like the highest salary or the minimum salary, we could have used the min and max function. So let's find the max salary first. And I'll also address, like whoever is sending me their code, I'll also address what is the error or what is the wrong thing with their code if it's not right. So this will give us the highest salary for an employee. Now what we need is, we need the second highest. So what we'll do is, we'll just do select max salary from employee. Where salary is less than max salary. So it means that the second max salary it will give you, right? And we run the code. Okay, we just need to put brackets here. Sorry, just need to do this, which is not equal to. Okay, so we'll address this. Okay, we just need to put the column name as second highest salary.
Excuse me, the screen, like query is not visible.
Okay, is it visible now?
Yeah, now it's
Okay, great. So basically what we have put in is, we put max salary as second highest salary where salary is less than the max salary from an employee. Great. So now it's visible. Now I'll quickly see what others have written and I'll point out the what errors are there. So, Olaitan, you said select salary as second highest salary. You didn't write from, you didn't write the logic. So that's why the code is wrong. Saurav, you wrote select ID comma salary from employee ID 1, where n minus 1 is. Here n is not defined. So you'll have to define n first. Ajay, you said select star from table order by salary limit 2. When you say limit 2, it will show you the top 2 salaries, whereas we only need the second highest salary. Kaushik, your code is correct. Path, you write select case when count star is 1. So aggregate functions never work like this. It always is count and then case when. So that's why this code will freeze. Then some screen frozen. Okay. ABC, you have written row number. So row, instead of row number, you can use rank also. But because rank is an expensive function, so you don't need to use that. Instead, you can use a simple subquery here. Rahul, you have used a dense rank function, which is perfectly fine. It's a little expensive. When we have bigger tables, sometimes rank and dense rank take a lot of time to run, but perfectly fine from a logical standpoint. Ajay, you said if in my code, if I provide max salary, will it work? It will be giving you the highest salary and not the second highest salary. That's fine. Great. And then you've written min salary, so you don't need. This symbol means not equal to. So equal to means equal to like maths, but this in SQL means not equal to. Vipul, you have written select salary from employee, order by salary descending, where salary in. So this is the wrong syntax. First, always where comes and then order by comes. Otherwise, your code is correct. Yeah. We'll move on to the next question then. Great. Oh, this is the problems. Okay. So we'll read this problem together. This is again a medium question asked in Amazon. I'm sure many others. So there is a sales table and there is a product table. Sales table has 5 columns: the sale ID of the product which was sold, the year, you can think of it as a departmental store table that I had explained, the quantity, how much product was it sold, and the price. Now here, as we can see, primary key is a combination of 2 columns. Let's say there is a sale ID 1 for 2022, then for 2023, there can be a sale ID 1. So the combination of this, which is sale ID 1 and 2022, is the primary key, which means for 2022, there will be no sale ID 1 again. And product ID is the foreign key, which means that product ID is the primary key for this table. Each row of this table indicates the product name of each product, definitely. Now we need to write a SQL query that selects the product ID, the year, the quantity, and the price for the first year of every product sold. Only in the first year, let's say if a new product was launched in 2015, so we need only this for that first year. Again, we'll give you 2 minutes to solve it so that your brain works, and we can see example also, okay, and then we can take 2 minutes to solve. We have 3 rows here with product ID 100. There are two products, and product ID 200, there is one product. Now product ID 1 means Nokia, and the output is for product ID 100, the first year was, which was the min year, was 2008. The quantity was 10 and the price was 5,000. So we'll not exclude this row because this is the second year the product is sold. For product ID then 7, sale ID 7, the product ID 200, the year is this and quantity and price is this. So I'll give you 2 minutes to solve this and then we can get to it. And those of you were asking, we'll try to use a window function so that you learn its application in this question. The problem name is Product Sales Analysis 3. Rahul has asked. Cool. So we'll solve it together now. There are a couple of ways that we can solve it. Gulzar, I'm writing the code in front of you. So definitely I'm not pasting the answers. I think you've just joined. So here, what we do is, first we find out what all products do we need, what all columns do we need. So here we need product ID. Product ID, then year, then quantity, and then price from. Do we need the product table? No, we know, right? Because all of the data is only available in sales table. So we can use the sales table only. Now, what we need is, we need the minimum year for each product. So what we can do is, we can apply a rank function, which gives us the minimum year. So here we do partition by product ID, which means it will work for each product, and order by year. We need the minimum. So we'll do ascending, which is by default, and we can name it as R. So now this rank, when it is 1, it means that it will give you the minimum year for each of the products, right? So we just write select product ID, then we call year as, what do they call? First year. Then we do quantity and price from this. Now LeetCode always says that every derived table should have an alias. It works with some compilers, so we'll do that. We call this table A, or we can call it as table 1, and we do where table 1 dot R is equal to 1, which means that it will only give the minimum years. And we run this and see what's the issue. Okay, we didn't do comma. Now this is accepted. There was other ways also that it could have worked, especially in LeetCode. I have seen that if you use, let's say, a group by on one column also, it works. But then it might not work with other compilers. This code will always work with all the compilers. But I had seen one answer, which was Rajesh's answer. I'll just paste that here for the benefit of the class and show you what he had written. This code might work here, but it will not work in other cases. I'll just quickly see what is the comment shortcut. Let's go. Command plus star. Yeah. So what he has written is product ID, minimum year as first year, quantity and price from sales, group by product ID. Now, because he's only grouping by product ID, so we'll get the minimum year. But this code will, I'll run the code and show that this is being accepted here, but it gives errors in multiple compilers if we don't also group by quantity and price. And here, because we need the minimum year only by product, so thus this code will not work in some compilers, but this code will always work in all the compilers. I'll quickly see others' codes and point out mistakes if there are with any. As Suraj, you have written where year is 2008. You don't know how the data will look like. This is only an example. And especially like you can see that for product ID 200, the year was 2011. So hard coding will never work as a logic. Ajay has written a product ID year quantity from product sets left join sales on product ID, and year is equal to year, and B dot year is minimum year from sales B. Okay, let me see. First you do in the You don't need ideally the product table, Ajay. First mistake, you could only do with the sales table because you didn't need the product name. Second is, okay, if you did self join also, when you do B dot year is select minimum year from sales. This is also wrong because this will give you 2008, right? Which will give you the minimum year for all the products, but you need minimum year for each of the products. So then this code is wrong. Okay, Samishta says ignore. Kaushik, you can use lead code definitely. You can use HackerRank. You can use SQL Zoo. You can use analytics with your questions also. All of them work. Just type on Google like SQL window function question. SQL tutorials point also works. What if we use row instead of rank? So, Olaitan, basically what row and rank, like the differentiate between row and rank is, rank gives you the minimum. Let's say if there are two rows, here this will work in the same way. First of all, to answer your question, generally the difference is between row and rank is that if there are, let's say, if two students have gotten same rank in a class, which means that they have gotten highest marks, rank will give you both of those students. Row number will only give you how many rows you select. So let's say if you do row number R is 1, so it will only give you one row. So that's the difference between row and rank here, because against each product there was only one minimum year, so here it will work. So Mayank, there are certain resources on the internet that provide you lead code solutions also, like lead code questions also. So just search for them and you can practice them. Moving on to the next question, that it's called winning candidate. Again, a medium question. Basically, there are two tables. One is called candidate. Second is called vote. The candidate table has two columns. One is the ID column, which is the candidate ID, and second is the candidate name who has stood up in the elections, basically, right? Vote is the vote ID, which is again the primary key of this table, and the candidate ID, basically who's this vote for, whose candidate is this vote for, is the foreign key for this table. We need to write a SQL query that reports the name of the winning candidate, basically the candidate who has gotten the larger number of votes. Obviously, it was mentioned that there is only one candidate who wins the election, so there is no tie. As an example, let's say these 5 candidates have stood up for elections. Here, we can see that candidate ID 2 has gotten 2 votes, rest 4, 3, and 5 have got 1 vote, and the candidate ID 1 has got 0 votes. So the output obviously is B, which is the second candidate who has won the elections. So I'll give you a minute or two to write the answer, and then we'll solve it together. Yeah, the question is report the name of the winning candidate. I've scrolled down a bit. Cool. So we'll write it together now. Here, first we find out what are the maximum number of votes for the table, right? So first we write, and we'll keep writing in subquery format. So first we write select from candidate C join vote V on C dot ID is equal to V dot candidate ID. What do we select from this? We select C dot name, comma, count of basically candidate, we can count candidate ID, okay, from this. So this gives us basically against each candidate name, what are the total count of candidate IDs? And I can run this just to show you the intermediate solution that we are getting. Obviously, we know that the answer is wrong. Okay, this is name against name. It says 5. This is wrong. We joined C dot ID is V dot candidate ID. And we write against the name. I don't know why this is not working, but it should give you against each name what is the count of basically votes that the person has gotten. We can also count V dot ID here. It will give you the same result. Then we do select C dot name basically, and we can also do we count of num votes, and we do order by num votes descending, because we learned that there will always be one person that has won. So we use limit 1. We don't need to use like a rank function or something. And then we can write select C dot name from. So now this will give against each name the count of votes, order by num votes descending, limit 1. Let's see what this gives us. Okay, we write A here. C dot name is not in list. Okay. Yes, this is accepted. So basically what we did was we ordered by the descending number of votes, then we selected the top row, and against that top row we selected the name from that list. Any questions, class, up till this point? Otherwise, we'll be doing the last question or maybe the second last question as per the time permits. But please ask away your questions for this specifically question so that you don't have to wait till the end. Good. If everything is clear, then we'll move on to the next question. The next question is managers with at least 5 direct reports. Very, very common questions, and the theme is employee versus manager and everything. Vipul has asked a good question. If we are not mentioning join, default join type is inner join. Are there functions other than limit? Does limit worked for SSMS? SSMS limit works. Otherwise, in some other codes, you can use top 1 also. Others, I'm sharing the thought process in each of the questions. I can explain it more wherever you're not understanding. So here we start with managers with at least 5 direct reports. There is only one table which is called as the employee table. ID is employee ID, name is the employee name, department in which the employee works, and his manager ID. Here we want managers with at least 5 direct reports. So let's say in this table, there are 6 different employees with IDs 101 through 106. Department is the same. And then these 5 employees, 102 through 6, have only one manager, which is John. Here, it also seems like John doesn't have any manager because he might be the founder of the company. So here we write name John. There might be other rows as well in the real test cases. So we need to write all the manager names, basically manager names who have more than 5 direct reports. Now here, because it's within the same table, so just a hint, you will be using a cell join. I'll see your questions. Yes, lead code name I have mentioned, ma'am. It's managers with 5 direct reports. So I'll give you a minute or two to answer. But just a hint, it's a cell join question. You can use it through a subquery also, which can work like a cell join. So whatever you prefer, you can use. But just send your code to the hosts and panelists only. Few more seconds. So we'll start the solution. First, we'll see like how to basically go about this problem. Here you can see that count of manager ID is kind of the thing that you're looking for, right? And then the name against that ID. So here, let's say the manager ID is 101. First, you count the manager ID wherever it's greater than equal to 5. Then against that, you're looking for the name. So first we write the subquery code. Here we write select ID from employee and we write E. Basically we write group by ID having count of manager ID is greater than equal to 5. What will this give you essentially? This will give you wherever group by ID having count of manager ID is greater than equal to 5, wherever the count exceeds either 5 or greater than 5, there at least it will give you the all the IDs for that. Then what do? You select name, and we'll also do this using a cell join, where now ID in, you use this, right? And you name it something. Have an error, maybe it's okay, you don't need to because it's a subquery, it's not a join. Okay, it gives you wrong answer because expected is John. Let's see what the issue is. Okay, so this should be manager ID, right? Okay, so this gives you where ID in, and then it counts the manager ID, wherever it's occurring for more than 5 times. Yes. So here, sorry class, I had written ID first. It should have been manager ID wherever it's occurring for more than 5 times. For that ID, it will give you the name. Any questions from the subquery method? Otherwise, we can see how to do it using a self join, or we can do another question, whatever the class prefers. Okay, great. 2 people have written self join. So let's use a self join. We do select and then we call at the second table as employee M, which is basically referring the manager. And then we write E dot manager ID is equal to M dot ID. Here, this means that for every ID, the manager ID is equal to the ID again, right? And then we write having, okay, what will we do? We basically do having count of E dot manager ID is greater than equal to 5. Let's see how this will work for each row. First, it will count manager ID for 102 and ID is 101. Okay. Then again for 103, the manager ID is this. And then again for 4. Okay, let's see what it gives. Otherwise, we'll debug together. Okay, we write E dot name. Sorry, M dot name. Okay, so this is accepted. Basically, what I did was I self-joined the table with itself on E dot manager ID is manager's ID. And then I correspondingly selected manager's name wherever the count was greater than equal to 5. Adarsh has asked, when should we explicitly associate table name with field name? Wherever there is ambiguity. So in this case, especially like we were joining and then name could have been from employee table also, from managers, like basically the second employee table also. There you have to mention the alias. I hope your question is answered. Kaushik, you have asked for analytics consulting jobs. What should I learn? Python data science libraries or Python DSA? It's mostly Python automation use cases, and you can learn like Python data science libraries. DSA, it's still more a software engineering thing. How did having work without group by? So having can work without group by. Group by you need to put when there are aggregate functions. Similarly, having you can use without group by. You could have used group by name, but it's like optional. Ajay has asked, in the self join having clause doesn't a where cause the query ran successfully. So the difference, Ajay, between where and having is where is always used for non-aggregate columns, whereas having is used for aggregate columns, but they can work without each other. You don't need to have where and having always together. Great, I answered your question. How significant is SQL for the beginner in data science role? Absolutely, absolutely essential. SQL needs to be at an advanced, at least at an intermediate level. You should be able to solve like programming questions. There are a ton of free resources also. Just practice SQL before doing interviews. Others, yes, in especially lead code compilers, having works without group by also. Great. Any other data analytics questions, class? Please post. We can extend by 1 or 2 minutes.
Yeah, before we proceed to your question and answers, I would like to request the attendees to please fill the poll about feedback as it helps us to conduct more such sessions. And please post your questions in Q&A section. Thank you.
Karthik, you have asked, is it mandatory to know SQL ML services in Python? ML services are only when you're looking for data science jobs. For BI, data analytics jobs, you don't need to use ML services. Which is faster among queries, subqueries, and join? Mostly subqueries are faster, but it depends on the table structure also. Like if you are doing in subquery 2 columns, then in places of those, like you can use joins better. Any more key concepts? Definitely do all joins. Definitely do pivoting, unpivoting. Those are key questions that are asked, and self join questions. Ajay, if you are a data analyst, you can do some basic applied machine learning course first before going into deep learning. With applied machine learning, you'll be at least able to apply the basic algorithms that exist. You'll be learning stats behind them. Then you can move towards deep learning concepts. So Analytics Vidya has one course that I had done for applied machine learning. It gave me all the basics that I needed. The easiest way to learn, Siddharth, is first definitely do like a basic course which gives you the definitions, the theoretical concepts, then just start practicing. For practicing, you can use internet like for free resources such as SQL, Zoo, .NET, etc., wherein you can do like live concept by concept programming practice. But don't go into interviews without practicing a ton of questions in SQL. Great. Thank you, Adarsh. I am glad that you liked the session. Class, as the moderator also said, that this will come live on YouTube within 2 days after today. So just be on that. And thank you so much for attending the session. I hope you found it useful. And all the best for your upcoming interviews.
Pooja, there are some questions in the Q&A section.
Q&A, okay, I'll see. Relevant time, okay, I've answered. Basic tools for data analyst, I have answered. Okay, this I can answer in detail. So there is SQL, definitely. Excel for sure. For Excel also, try advanced functions such as sumifs, countifs, flags, if, all those, like do pivots, do advanced like Excel practice. Don't just think you know Excel. Then PowerPoint, one visualization tool. Tableau is the most like hottest always. So you can do a basic Tableau course, and Python if you are looking to get into a good job. So those are the tools. But as such, for a beginner, SQL and Excel are a power pack. And if you know 2 of those, you can get into a good job. Okay, then Gulzar has answered. Can we do that where on tab 1? Okay, maybe I think I missed this. Can we have a copy of these codes? I have not copied the codes, Konsla, but I hope you were able to understand. Just practice those again. I'm sure you'll be able to answer those. How do we have our commands on subquery as you are doing? Akansha, I have not understood your question. Could you please elaborate on your question? Ma'am, can you please tell me SQL Server uses SQL or MySQL? Basically, it uses MySQL, but you can change the compiler. There is an option on the top. Can one do data science jobs without SQL? Ideally, no, because to understand the data, like even in Python, you often use, like you extract data from tables. So you need to know SQL. Any resource you can refer, definitely, like if you can shell out some money, lead code, but even if you can't, like HackerRank, SQL Zoo are free resources where you can practice questions. But if you are a beginner, just do theoretical concepts from any courses. Analytics Vidya, I did personally 2 years ago, I did a course on Analytics Vidya. It was very good for SQL. Basically, it explains the concepts. But if you are already aware with the concepts, then I wouldn't recommend. I would recommend then you to do a programming thing, or do mocks, like mock interviews, etc. There are a ton of tools there for that also. Can we look at SQL questions again without answers, especially the medium level questions beyond 1 page and we couldn't scroll? Ajay, there are some websites that give you lead code questions. Just search on the internet. But if you have not purchased a subscription, it just blurs out the question. I hope I have answered all the questions. Last question is, in SQL developer role in experience, what type of questions I getting? Shankar, you will have to explain your question again. It's not clear. Cool. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. See you again soon.
Yeah, okay. Thanks a lot, Pooja. On behalf of Analytics Vidya, I would like to thank you for your time for derailing such a wonderful session. I'm sure our audience found it insightful and hopefully we can conduct more such sessions with you in future. So for all of you, LinkedIn profile of Pooja is present in the chat. I hope you guys have filled the feedback poll. If not, I request you to please fill in the poll about feedback as it helps us to conduct more such sessions. If you wish to conduct a webinar or are facing any difficulty in registering, connect with us at editor@analyticsvidya.com. The recordings of this session will be available within 2 days on our YouTube channel. We'll be back with another session of Data Hour on 11th and 12th Jan. The link is in the chat section. Till then, bye bye and keep learning.